Hi, welcome to a brand new video on the Target Individual Program, the Target Individual Experience. It's been a while since I've done a video. There's a reason for this. School, as well as understanding the various new tactics they have employed against me in order to shield themselves from accountability and for what they continue to do. Right? It is a continuous thing that they do, and like I've said before, they may stop one form of harassment or targeting, but then they will replace it with another form. All right, and it's almost immediately. And so, before I break down my videos that I usually do, I want to play this video. And this video is about fear and anger and how to counter the manipulation of the human mind. Now, I'm not going to play the entire thing. I'm just going to play a few minutes into the beginning, and then I will talk about I'll draw a reference to my targeting as well as the targeting of other TIs out there, okay, who may not even know. So I'm here to bring awareness to this and to what's happening. Been doing it for over a decade, and we'll continue to do it. Okay, so let me play the video.
Back on attempts to manipulate our emotions and our minds. So these are very difficult times for many of us. Debt, politics, racism, terror have left us fearful of things outside ourselves. And few of us realize how vulnerable fear makes us. We like to think our emotions and our choices are our own. But what do we really know about fear? Jennifer Lerner is a scientist at Harvard who studies fear. And remember this because it's important. She also studies the effects of anger. But in her studies of fear, she found what we would expect, that fear makes us cautious. It makes us avoid risks. Now, this makes sense because after 9/11, it was fear that froze the nation's stock market. Fear that made thousands of us cancel vacations and start saving rather than spending. Fear kept us glued to television and radio. And this was true while they fed us more and more, knowing we were anxious, waiting for that one bit of information that would make us feel safe again. I'm afraid the media knows a truth about us, and that is this, that making us afraid makes us more dedicated viewers. Now, it gets more interesting. Lerner, in her research on fear, also studied anger. And fear and anger are closely related, very closely. She describes anger as fear plus a target, or fear plus a cause or a person to blame for it. Now think about that for a second. In her research with thousands of subjects, she found something surprising about anger compared to fear. Anger actually makes us take unreasonable risks. It can make us invest badly, shop irresponsibly, make bad diet and health decisions, like choose junk food. It can make us fail at basic math and risk calculations that most of us make successfully every single day. It stands to reason. In a time when the political decisions that we're making will so clearly shape our future, that we be deeply suspicious of anyone who tries to use blame to turn our very real fears into anger. Because this can make us make decisions that are against our own best interest. So, what you need to notice, and what we all notice, is how the media focuses so often on blame and scapegoating. How also it focuses on human brokenness, and not on things we can fix, but on things we can't. Notice how media's fixation, and especially the advertising industry's fixation on unrealistic ideals of beauty and wealth, make us want things that we don't have. And our own insecurities and our own fears are used to make us and to feed insecurities further and make us buy products we're told are going to make us more beautiful and more successful.
Okay. I'm just going to stop the video right here for copyright reasons. So not going to continue. But I will go to this website, which I use a lot. Okay, so I had to stop the reason for copyright reason. So, you know, but I am going to go to psychologicalharassment.com, as you can see, and talk about this, and then I'll play my video breaking down, you know, what's going on. Okay, so administrative manipulation. So just let me just read this here. So psychology is used extensively to control and manipulate people. Delay tactics, don't know when, probably in a very near long time, if ever. Delay tactics are attempts to put off as far into the future something that needs to be addressed, or to continually reschedule the future dates, or to delay to reach an expiration date or end date. It is also used when we just don't remember any more excuse or lie. Fronts. What's the real reason? Fronts are when one justification or reason is given as a front instead of the real hidden motive for the action or event. Possible but false, to deceive, links to front and brainwashing. Administration, and people will sometimes claim. Hold on a sec here. Oh, thanks. All right. Here we go. So administrations and people will sometimes claim that the reason for or the cause of something is something, when this is actually false but possible, in order to hide the real reason, cause, or motive. Conflict and division. Divide and conquer. Conflicts are often created to cause divisions so that the different conflicting groups can be more easily manipulated or controlled, creating chaos and justification for actions and control. Creating chaotic system is often done to justify taking actions or control over the system, or to justify new rules. Creating chaotic system is also often a tactic done by organized crime to hide the crimes they commit. Without rules and law, there is no crime committed. Now, I think he's using organized crimes here in terms of blackmailing of political people, or maybe people in office, right? Political office, I should say that. And also governments. So governments, such as government agencies such as the security agency, law enforcement agencies, IRS, you know, also do these types of things, right? So creating justification is used in the workplace and in regimes. In the workplace, it can involve participating employees. In regime, it can involve the secret police, organized crime, or even terrorists to weaken civil rights and freedoms. Okay, security and authority, attacks to increase power. Security authorities or organizations that will sometimes provoke and welcome attacks on themselves or those they are sworn to protect, and in some cases they may even attack themselves so that they can obtain more power and authority over those they are set to protect. Administrative maze and complexity, to discourage complaint or to increase the need for a specialist. Sometimes administration will create complex procedures and forms to discourage grievance or complaints, or to require the help of specialists requiring the payment of fees. Okay, and I'm not going to go through all of it, but you guys can go through it yourself. Go to the website psychologicalharassment.com. Before I even do that, I want to hold on a sec here. Okay, so I just need to bring up this website, and this website is called Mad in America, and it tells the story of a woman who was basically thrown into a psychiatric institution. So this is the political abuse of psychiatry in America, My Story by Lauren Anderson. And it says, imagine going to the airport to travel to London, a commute you have made it dozens of times before, only to find yourself locked in a high security psychiatric ward a few hours later, stunned and naked except for a gown and underwear, paralyzed by psychoactive drugs, and deprived of all of your belonging. This happened to me, and you will be shocked to learn how easily it can happen to you. The airlines and their cronies in government don't want you to know what the political abuse of psychiatry is alive. That the political abuse of psychiatry is alive and well in America. So I am a mother of two with no history of violence or arrest, but was falsely arrested and imprisoned without probable cause, notice, warrant, charges, legal advice, hearing, or paperwork for 18 days in a psychiatric ward at Zucker Hillside Hospital in New York City, part of Northwell Health, in June 2011, during the time I was drugged and subjected to various types of severe physical and emotional abuse, including assault, hands-on stripping, and deprivation of human essentials like water and fresh air. This was carried out by malicious staff, several of whom were unlicensed by the state to practice their profession. Now, I'm not going to read this whole thing, but I want you guys to read it yourself, because these things happen every single day, particularly for those of us who are TIs. And when we start to expose it before it gets to this point, then they reassess and then they redeploy a different form of targeting and harassment, right? And so, there's the same within the security agencies, within the Department of Defense, that we must have contingency for our contingency, for our contingency, for our contingency, right? Meaning that they must have an exit, entry plan using various options, right? So there are always options, and if the option doesn't work, there's another option. And this is what they do in terms of the non-consensual human experimentation. And when TIs try to expose it, what it is that they do using psychiatry to discredit and sometimes institutionalize the targeted individual. Okay, so let's go to the video in which I'll start to explain. So the first video I'm going to show is from last Thursday, and I had my lab for circuit analysis. And I'm not going to play the entire video because it's over half an hour. And then the second part of the video I recorded too, that's about half an hour also. But lately they've been trying to do things to discourage me from studying, to keep me unfocused, and with some heavy remote neuromonitoring and some very subtle acknowledgement of the remote neuromonitoring that they do in order to get away with it and not make people aware of what's going on. So this is a lab class that I had last Thursday, and I was bombarded with noise campaign in the background, as you will hear. Are you guys hearing the fire trucks in the background? It's
Little
very,
bit,
very low.
okay. I checked. Those who have submitted your lab in black, check this lab, and some are very good. I found that very good, and some are trying. I understand they are trying, but don't worry because I have to give you one test. I have to conduct one test
You
and
guys hearing
try
this?
your
This is not over where I'm
uh,
at. This is by whichever student or the
try
professor.
your best to do
That's what this
to
is.
submit
This is
properly. Okay,
happening.
if not
This
okay,
is going
then
on.
don't get upset. Okay, but
Okay, and this continued um, throughout the class multiple times. Uh, in the class, and while I was, participating in the class, and it kind of goes to show me that, and that's Pam right there. I'm gonna get to her next. Um, so again, this type of targeting, it's nothing new. They do this all the time. They get my professors to target me, my math professor, and also this professor in my circuit analysis class. Now, I mean my circuit analysis lab. Now, my circuit analysis class is the same thing. I have psychology, but my professor, we don't have online classes. He just upload the assignment, and we do the assignment and hand it in. Okay, and so this was Thursday. Friday, I went over by Pam. She had came to pick me up from work, and we went to pick up the kids, and you know drove to her house. Saturday, I was leaving Saturday because I went over there just so she can get a night off, from the kids. Saturday, I was leaving. She had to go vote, so I woke up, made breakfast and stuff like that, and she stayed in bed and basically, didn't go vote. So I said to her, "Well, I'm leaving." Okay, and so um, then all of a sudden she's like, "Oh, my friend invited me and the kids. My friend boyfriend invited me and the kid to a little Halloween get together in the backyard, and she asked me if I wanted to come." Now, whenever her friends are having anything, she never invites me. Never invites me. So I'm saying to myself, okay, why is she inviting me now? Okay, what is it that they're up to? Okay, so I decided to, okay, let's see what's going to happen or what have you. So I said, all right, fine, I'll um I'll go with you, but I'm going home afterwards. And she was like, oh, but if we get back late, then I'm gonna have to wait for parking and such and such. So I said, we'll worry about that later. So anyway, we went over there Saturday. She wore a unicorn, um, like a unicorn overall that she used as a costume. And let me see. Okay, let's see what video is this. Okay, this is when we were leaving. So I put this up. Um, Move that. Okay, no, I don't want to do that. Okay, here we go. So this is her, and that's the costume that she wear. Now, while she was putting the costume on upstairs in the apartment, she kept walking by and she kept grabbing the unicorn tail, which is kind of like a rainbow color type thing. And they do. She's doing this because sometimes they try to send me subliminal message about her being gay and all this stuff and blah blah blah. Right? But they do that. They've always done that. So, but it doesn't bother me. But again, it's to try to manipulate, emotional manipulation. Okay, and if you watch the video that I played in the beginning of this video, you will understand what I'm talking about. So anyway, we got to her friend's house, and her friend boyfriend came out into the driveway, and he hugs my kids, And I'm looking at him like, dude, this is covert. He doesn't have on any mask. I mean, my kids have on mask. I had on mask. Pam had on a mask. He didn't have on a mask, and he's hugging my kids. So anyway, we got there, we sat down, and I just kind of pulled him to the side, and I said, look, this is covert. So I'm gonna keep my distance. My kids are going to keep my distance from your kids because his kids didn't have on any mask either. And this dude is a firefighter, right? And on top of that, he had contracted COVID before and exposed his girlfriend to it, and she had it, and it kind of messed up her kidney, right? Because for those who don't think that COVID is real, or if you get COVID and you get over it somehow, you're immune from it. That's not true because it has been proven that you can get COVID multiple times. On top of that, while you have COVID, it damages your body, it damages your mind also. Okay, so there's a lot of research on that. So you guys need to go research this. I know it's hard for UTIs because sometimes they got you believing in a whole bunch of conspiracy shit, and you kind of roll with it, right? Don't be like that. Okay, research. All right, and make sure when you're researching, you're getting it from, what's the word I'm looking for? Legitimate sources, right? And not just some website somebody put up to try to discredit, health services and civil rights organizations and stuff like that. Okay, so anyway, so he invited other people to come, and they weren't wearing masks, and they had kids, and their kids weren't wearing masks, and their kids was around his kids, really really close, talking to each other and such and such. And so like I said, I pulled the dude to the side and I talked to him about it. I said, listen, you know what? I'm gonna keep my distance. I'd appreciate it. I said, don't feel any way about it, but this is covert, and I'm not taking any chances with my children. And even though Pam went on vacation with this guy, her friend was supposed to go, but her friend canceled last minute. But she still ended up going with her friend's boyfriend and his kids to Pennsylvania, right? And on top of that, I know she wasn't wearing masks the whole time. My children wasn't wearing masks the whole time, and I had to tell her, I said, listen, I understand you're wanting to be like, or to be well liked by people, but if they're not showing any concern for you and your children, you shouldn't even be around her. But that's just me. She's different, and I would never put my kids in that sort of situation with people who are not taking this seriously. Okay, I don't care if they don't like me or not. I don't give a shit. I give a shit what anybody thinks. Okay, I care about what I think about myself, and my children will be thinking the same way too. They will not be putting themselves at harm risk just to be liked by people who don't really like them. Period. Because you can't say you care about my kids and like my kids, and you're not being concerned about their safety. Because I can see you're not even being concerned about your own children's safety. Because the fact that your children are not wearing masks, you're not wearing a mask, and they're interacting with other people who you invited, you don't even know where they've been, who they've been around with. So so Pam says to me, oh, you always ruining the fun. And I'm like, how am I always ruining the fun? And she said this because the couple that she invited, with his kids, she had 3 kids. His, I don't know, wife or girlfriend, they had ordered pizza. The pizza came, and she picked up the plate. She didn't even sanitize her hands. So I sanitized my hands. I sanitized my kids' hands. Pam sanitized her hand, and she grabs the plate. And I said, "Excuse me." I said, "If you're not going to sanitize your hand, could you not touch the plates?" Okay. And at that point, she says to me, "Oh, go sit down. You always ruining the fun." And I looked at her like, okay. I just went and I sat down, and I was like, you know what? I'm not getting into it right now. Okay, we're here, so such and such. So then, as the night lingers on, it's cold. The kids were cold. We were outside. Alyssa wanted to leave, and Pam was like, "Oh, we'll leave at 10 o'clock or what have you." Meanwhile, a couple minutes later, the other young kid who belongs to the 2 people that came, he was like, "Mommy, I'm cold. I want to go home." And they were like, "Okay, cool." yeah, it's cold out here. Let's go home. And so that kind of, again, reinforced, uh, uh, you know, my, uh, in terms of when it comes to understanding Pam, that, she will choose her fun over her children, uh, comfort or even safety. Okay. And, that's why it's important for me to, uh, um, talk to her about these things. And I do talk to her about it, hoping that she will realize and understand this thing. Just like today, she called me. Alyssa had told her that the babysitter hit her, and she said to me, "Please don't call them and talk to them. Let me do it." And I'm like, "Oh, really?" I said, "Okay, you handle it." And up to now, she hasn't called me to say, hey, I talked to them or what have you, or such and such. So I'm gonna give it to the end of the night, and then I will be calling them tomorrow if she hasn't spoken to them. All right, the babysitter, which is her cousin and her cousin boyfriend. So yeah. So anyway, let me get back to my videos. Okay, so this is when I was leaving the Halloween get together, and as I got up, I had my chair, my sitting chair in my hand. I had what else did I have? I think I had something else in my hand. But as I got up, they started with the fireworks. Okay, now remember, this is Halloween. Okay, when have you seen fireworks on Halloween? And this was over in Bushwick, right? And so as we're leaving now, this white woman walked into the driveway, and it seemed like it was just like perfectly timed, right? But again, this is synchronization and what it is that they do. And the white woman, she, as she was leaving, she points her pointing finger, right? And again, this is what they'll do, right? So this was me leaving, and then also following the wait, no, this is probably when we is this it? Hold on here. It might be the wrong video. Let's see here. No. Shoot. Let me see. Okay. All right. Here. Okay. Here we go. So yeah. So. All right, man. I missed the fireworks. And it was cold, so that's me just breathing.
Started recording. Didn't get the fireworks, but they just had fireworks going off.
All right, and it's funny how they surveil you to know that you're leaving, and to know that I'm going to record it. And the way how they did it, as I was walking down the driveway, is when it was done. It wasn't done while I was in the back, because I would have recorded and show you guys, right? But again, that's to show you how very manipulative they are in doing these things, right? And then so anyway, we left, and it was late, so of course, I had to go back by Pam, because I didn't want her out there waiting for parking this late. And so yeah, so that was one of the reasons. Okay, so now let's go back to this video. So I believe this is when we just got parking. So we got back on the block, and as soon as she got parking, I got out the car. They started using the ambulance.
Here, this shit. Here, this shit. Yeah. Just got back on the block.
And, okay. Now you see the guy walking down the block. He's wearing all black, and you'll see his hands come down. All right, because let me go back here. Okay.
Just got back on the block.
You see his hands in his pocket. Okay, and then you'll see his. If you look on the left side, he puts his hands over his mouth, and then you see he puts it down. Okay. All right, that's Pam. In park, backing up into the parking spot. Okay. All right. So end up staying, and then Sunday she was supposed to go voting early. Again, she slept late, so I couldn't leave. She went to vote around minutes to 3, and then came back around minutes to 4, and all of a sudden now she wants to go grocery shopping. So you see how she's manipulating things to get me to stay, all right? Because again, she doesn't want to take care of the kids. So, the one thing I forgot to tell you guys about the incident this morning, as she was talking to me about with Alyssa and such, and she said that she had a hard time. Alyssa didn't want to wake up and blah blah blah, and how she needs to get her act together. She needs to figure out her life and get her life together. Now, my daughter is 7 years old. Okay, this is a 45-year-old woman, her mother, that's saying this about a 7-year-old. Okay, so yeah, you see what I'm dealing with, right? And I've tried to talk to her into seeing a therapist, and because she really sometimes don't look at life in a realistic manner, and sometimes that can cause issue, not just with me or her, but with her life as well. And so but what can I do? People is going to do what they want to do, and you can only give them advice because you care about them, but you can't force them to do things they won't do, and are even willing to recognize themselves. So anyway, I end up staying over Sunday. Monday, we're driving to take the kids to the babysitter, and you'll see the short video, but she kept her hands on the gear stick, and she kept sticking at her pinky fingers. Okay.
I was just, it was all that craziness. I hope I didn't drop my earpiece.
The earpiece was on top of the And so you'll start, she'll start saying things like crazy and stuff like that. But this is what they do. Even at my house over here with my sister and her daughter and her son and his kids, they was all of a sudden start talking about, oh, crazy, he's crazy, she's crazy, or all this craziness and such,
Yeah,
right?
I took it down.
Okay.
And I put it.
All right.
I put it in
And
my
so,
pocket, but I was running like a mad person. That bag was so heavy.
let's see here. All right. So the reason why I started recording is because in the house she started targeting me. So we got in the car. I was like, okay. And so, you'll see she grabbed the gear stick, and she kept putting her hands on the gear stick, and then she would constantly like raise her pinky finger, right, or her other finger that you see right here. And so I started recording, because at that point, like I said, okay, I know that she's going to be targeting me, so let me start recording. So we're getting closer to the babysitter now. All of a sudden, this police vehicle now that was in the center lane, and of course I understand that he was going to be turning in the same direction that we're turning, because that's what they try to do. When, in order to avoid, or my accusation of them following me, they already know where we're going. They already know the path that she takes going to the babysitter. So of course, I'm in the car, they show up, and they just basically turned and basically stopped at the next light, and they just stayed there, right? They just stayed there. They didn't park or anything like that, but they just stayed at the light while we drove past. But again, that is to get my attention, and this is what they do. Okay. And again, also because the fact that she's been heavily targeting me over the weekend. And normally I would leave and be like such and such, but after Saturday night, I was like, okay, uh, something's definitely going on with her, either through their manipulation or her being tired and such. And when you try to do something good for someone, particularly if you're a TI, because they don't want you to do good at all. They want you to act a certain way so that they can justify what they're doing, right? Or the people who they get involved in targeting you. For my instance, like with Pam, if I get mad at her, so they can justify that, right? Or she can justify that her targeting me, because this is what they do. This is how manipulators work. This is how narcissistic personalities are developed or created, and how those with narcissistic personalities, how they behave, particularly when they're in a cult that involve members of law enforcement. They feel that they have the authority to do whatever they want to do to you, okay? As an individual, as a human being, as a person, this is what they do, okay? So let me, I think that was the end of the video. And so then, remember how I show you guys in the other video how she kept sticking her pinky finger out? And also her nail polish, right? For the past, since this year, that's the only color she's put on her nails whenever she go gets her nails done. Then about a week later, she will peel off the nail polish on her middle finger, and then she would hold her hands up to me with her fingers towards me, so I can see the nail polish that was taken out of, so I can see basically her nail. So again, it is when you're looking at something like that, what's going to stand out, right? So this is what she's been doing also. So when the police car turned, right, and I went back to and because I saw her, she was targeting me. And so when I turned, she, as the police car turned, the police car stopped at the light, she puts her hands between her leg, and so, because you remember now, she was driving the whole time with her hands on the gear stick, and now all of a sudden, as the police showed up in front of us and turned, she does that, right? So again, this is what she'll do, right? And so let's go to this video here. She's all right, the car.
Is
okay, and
trying to get clean. What a vacuum.
I'm just for a while going there.
Go back.
Okay, and so now you'll see her, and this is what they do. They love touching stuff. So you see where she puts her hands, right? And again, physics will tell you that when you're, especially if you're sitting out in a car, you're closing the door, there's no need for you to grab onto this side of the seat because you're already, it's planted. You're seated, right? On top of that, the most obvious thing to do would be to put your hands on the steering wheel, okay? And so, and again, she does a lot of this stuff when she's heavily targeting me. When she's not, she don't do any of these things at all.
Sorry.
Yeah, none of it. Okay. And so again, just to let you guys know, and then you'll see again after she does that, she puts her hands, in between her legs as she's driving. You know what I'm saying? Because she doesn't want me to record her targeting me and stuff like that, and particularly when you're doing stuff that's so obvious. So she's dropping me home, we're almost home, and then guess who comes, right? Now check this out. I'm gonna play the video. You see the fire trucks, right? And they only turn on the sirens as we got close. Okay, and then you see the person in red across the street, because again, that's just they always use the red theme with this. So understanding these things, right, and how the state, right, basically the state, the city, the U.S. government, whatever, NYPD, and people think that these things doesn't happen in America because America is supposed to be a democratic country, right? Well, these things have been happening in America. People are just manipulated into this illusion of freedom and constitutional rights and human rights and such and such. Like the U.S. will go in front of the UN, well, not this administration, and claim to be the moral authority on human rights and all this stuff. Meanwhile, they're committing all kind of human rights atrocities right here in the United States. Okay, they have religious cult groups and members running around, particularly in law enforcement and the higher ups law enforcement agencies, whether it be the FBI or the Department of Justice, doing these things. And the security agencies are even worse. The CIA, the NSA, particularly in communities where majority of people that live there are black. Okay, we're being surveilled every single day. We're being manipulated, way beyond just television, okay, and media, okay. But they literally have people walking around, psychologically manipulating you in our own community, even our own people, okay, and using tactics such as coercive persuasion programming. All right, so I kind of wanted to get into another website that talks about this stuff, but I'll do it in another video. Because of the remote neural monitoring, I've been experiencing a lot of headaches today, particularly in the back and the top of my head, and so they're very painful. So I'm still getting them as I'm talking, but I'm trying not to, get distracted from this video. So I'm gonna stop the video here, and I will speak to you guys on the next video. Okay, you guys take care.